Hey guys, Lance here. Welcome to the third part of my hardline tubing water cooling build that I'm doing in the Fantex Evolv ATX case over here. The final pieces I need to finish this build have finally arrived. The last piece was just delivered this morning, so I'll show you guys those and then we'll get into doing some building. You guys can see over here three different parts, or three different types of parts. So I've got some more fittings here. I'll go over those last. I've also got another XSPC EX360 radiator that will be going in the front. This is the same as I have in the top of the case, which I'll open up soon. And I've also got some Ripjaws X memory. This is 1866 megahertz and this is a 16 gigabyte kit. Now the reason I got this was because the Arctic RC RAM coolers I had before, which I mentioned in one of the previous videos, were too tall to clear a fan on the radiator. So I've got these which have a shorter cooler by about half the size roughly. I'll show you guys those side by side soon. We've got this radiator here. I do like the way they've laid this out with all black screws and bubble wrapped, of course. This is just plain printer paper that's around this, and then we have the 360mm radiator which will be going in the front of the case. Now with these fittings here, I've got two 90 degrees, a 45 degree bend, a male-to-male adapter fitting, and also a three-way splitter. So this here, this one's the 45 degree, and I'll show you guys how I've planned this all out and how these will all fit up when it comes to it. Then we've got the two 90 degrees, like so. Male to male fitting there. That's just a little adapter which I'll need for the splitter. And then of course the splitter here. Now anyone that watched my previous video would have seen I had a Y style splitter, and that didn't have enough clearance in the back of the case. I'll show you guys that up close in a second, but I've got this to address that issue. So this is a cube we can see here. Solid on the bottom, solid on the top with the very nice EK logo there. All of these fittings are EK, by the way. So here guys, you can see those RAM coolers. If you can look up there, you can see the clearance that it has just along that edge, and so the fan will be only just hitting them, but they are still in the way. I'll take out one of these sticks just so you guys can see how big this cooler is. So we can see there, that's the cooler height versus one of these sticks of Ripjaw. Now I also got the 1866 clock speed memory, as I thought the little boost from 1600 on this Crucial, which is just stock memory by the way, might be a good performance bump potentially, or may even help with some base clock overclocking. So these both, of course, will be coming out of the system. Now I've run into an issue with the fitment of the two 360mm radiators. This is the top radiator with the top bracket, and we can see here I partially addressed this. Let's try and get this to focus 1 second. So the radiator was mounted with this screw hole across here, and there was no clearance for the front 360 radiator to fit. So what I did was move this radiator across here. Now it does fit up, but there's no room for the fittings on the front radiator. I have taken the top off the case to investigate, and it doesn't look like there's much leeway or headroom there to get it all to fit. So I'll show you guys how it's all fitting up right now. So if I sit that 360 in the front, it fits up, and then we slide the top 360 in on that bracket. Sorry guys, this is a bit tricky to do with one hand. Okay, so we can see they both fit, although because this is all the way to the left, we can't fit an exhaust fan on here, which creates another problem in its own. But then we can see, can we get some light there? Yes, we can, kind of. We can see where these fittings are will be hitting right on any fan on this radiator. Now I have got one other idea to address this. So if I take this out, on the front of the case, fans pulling from inside the case here, and that's with the dust filter on. It does bulge out slightly, and I'll need to put the camera down again. I'll put the front panel back on, and that is with the front panel back on. That holds very sturdy with the clip for the dust filter and the front panel there. And we've also got the radiator in there, we can see, so I'll be able to move this back across again and fit that exhaust fan, and also have decent room for the fittings for here to clear the top fans. So that looks like what I'll be doing now. It will also give me a decent amount of room here for that pump to come across to about there, where it'll fit up a lot nicer. So here the system is all together. I've got the 360 rad up the top there and another one in the front here. I've mounted fans up. Now notice I don't have the one with the red ring. I will be getting one of those. I've also mounted up an Airflow 140 Corsair fan on the rear of the case, as I had that sitting around, and I'll be getting another one of those for the top there. Now I've got a bit of a problem here. We can see where that top fitting would go, up in there. You can just see it. There's no room to fit a fitting there, so I think I'm going to go back to the 240 radiator that I had for the front, and that other 360 won't be used in this build. Sadly, I was looking forward to having two 360mm radiators, but there's just no space in this case to fit two 360s without possibly modifying the top to move this radiator higher potentially, but I didn't really want to have to do any modding to the case like my previous build. I've also moved the ripjaw memory to the red DIMM slots on the motherboard, as I thought it would look a bit nicer having a little bit less red in that area and a little bit more black, so leaving the black slots empty. But I'll pull this all apart and I'll put the 240 in the front, put the top of the case back on, and then I'm going to start getting some of these fittings test fitted and then make some of the piping. So you guys can see the pump in the back of the case there, and because of this Y splitter here, we can see that the tap for the drain has nowhere to screw a fitting in to drain it out. So with this here, it's not really a great drain port. I did think about putting this other ways and using other fittings, but I found the best way would just to be use one of these little cube splitters which has 3 ports. So this will go straight through like so. We'll get rid of the Y one of course, and this one will go directly up where my finger is here. This will come out for the drain tap, and that should work perfectly. We can see under here I've got the tap fitting fitted here, and we can also see that cube splitter I've got there with one fitting going out the top, this coming out there and that end going to the pump. There's heaps of clearance for the back of the case to go on, and also if I ever need to drain the loop, I'll be able to thread in a fitting with a piece of tube that can run out off the side of the desk or wherever it needs to go without me making too much mess like I did when I drained my system before with no draining system in it. As you can see, I've started planning out some of the loop. I've got this pipe here, tube rather, I keep calling it pipe, I don't know why, but anyway, I've got this tube fitted here with a 90-degree fitting up the top, and that's going into that cube splitter I showed you just before, coming off of the pump. I've also mounted the reservoir here, and I've also put a 45-degree fitting on the GPU adapter here. Now that is because if it comes out straight, we can see this here, the plug for the 8-pin power will be right in the way, although that would route very nicely coming out and straight in there. But what I'm planning to do is have it come down, across, and up and into there, or maybe even mount the reservoir a little bit lower so it comes down, across, and straight in. I still need to figure it all out, but that's the planning I've got so far, and it is coming together quite nicely. I'm going to end this video off here, guys. I want to keep these videos to not much longer than 10 minutes. As you can see, I've started making a bit of progress. I've been facing quite a few problems, but I'm finding ways around all of those, which I'm really happy about. I'm glad that I can overcome all these challenges of this build. But anyway, guys, I do thank you all for watching. Feel free to leave a comment, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I hope to see you on the next one. Oh, and before I go, I've just received this today. This is the 8-pin connector for my second GPU. So that'll be in the next part of the video. See you later, guys.